Hey tribe, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be going over 3 tips to help us pass the ASWB exam, so stay tuned. Okay, and before we jump into that, I have here on the screen, in the description of every video, you will find online study group form with all the details of the upcoming study group. For this upcoming study group, we're going to be breaking down practice questions, but in any of the videos, you can always find access to the form where it'll be updated by myself. Links to my social media, so my Instagram, TikTok, and I also post updates on my Instagram in particular. So if you guys ever have any questions about anything, definitely follow me on there. Playlist of videos I created. So in the playlist, I have, for the different topics and everything like that, depending on the video, I'll put a special playlist in the description. And just other helpful resources. I may have resources that speaks more to the topic that we're covering in the video, or again, just other helpful resources in general. So definitely make sure to check the description to access these things. Okay, so let's jump into tip number 1. You may have saw this on one of my previous DSM-5 videos where reading the disorder backwards helps us in deciphering, what is this disorder relating to? And it can help us on the exam by when we get the question and we see the behavior the client is speaking to, we can identify and associate it with that particular disorder. So reading the disorder backwards tells you what the issue relates to. Disorder means there's an issue with something. When something is in order, it's working just fine. When something is not in order, it's in disorder, meaning there's an issue with something. The word or the words before disorder tells you what the issue relates to. Now ask yourself, what does someone with this issue looks like? So, example, disinhibited social engagement disorder. Inhibit means to hinder, restrain, or prevent themselves from doing an action or process. You're inhibiting, right? Remember, dis means there's an issue with something, so a disorder. So disinhibit, a person struggles to hinder, restrain, or prevent themselves from an action or process. Because remember, disinhibit. Inhibit means to hinder, restrain, or prevent themselves from doing an action or process. When you disinhibit is a person struggles to hinder, restrain, or prevent themselves from an action or process. And that's important because being able to say no to ourselves from doing something, that can be very important. So when we break it down, again, reading it backwards, there's an issue. And I even color coded it for this right here. There's an issue, disorder, related to the child's social engagement with others. Social engagement, again, reading backwards, disorder, it relates to the social engagement. There's an issue related to the child's social engagement with others. And then we bring in disinhibited, because they struggle to hinder, restrain, or prevent themselves from acting a certain way. Now ask yourself, what does someone with this issue look like? This looks like a child who is too friendly with adults who are complete strangers to them. Why is a child that's too friendly with adults who are complete strangers to them an issue? It's an issue for all of the reasons that you can think of. Safety, of course, being at the top. Because again, they're strangers. They could, just go up to them, sit on their lap, go off with them. And there's no type of restraint where it's like, wait a second, their internal alarm system, red flag should be going off. And we're like, wait a second, I don't know this person. Let me check in with mommy or daddy. They're just kind of going with the flow. So that's why it's an issue. And when we look at example number 2, post-traumatic stress disorder, same thing. Post equals afterwards. Think of when someone says post-interview, meaning afterwards. It's the opposite of pre. Think of a movie that's a prequel to a movie, meaning before. So it's a prequel to a movie, and then post meaning after. And traumatic equals emotionally distressing. And just like we did with the first example, disorder, there's an issue. What is it related to? Stress. And then post-traumatic, after emotionally distressing event. There's an issue related to their stress after an emotionally distressing event. Now ask yourself, what does someone with this going on, what does that look like? Someone where there's an issue related to their stress after an emotionally distressing event. This looks like someone who is reliving the traumatic event due to flashbacks, intrusive memories, nightmares, avoiding places and people, so isolating, memory loss, negative outlook on people / the world, being in the triggering environment or something that reminds them about the traumatic event, startle response, so they jump when they hear a loud sound. So just as a tip to help us with these disorders where we kind of read it backwards and see what it relates to, so that can help us pick the right answer on the exam. Now jumping into tip number 2, don't leave any answer blank. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Ray, are you saying to guess? Yes, don't leave any answer blank. There are 4 answer choices to pick from of A, B, C, and D. That means if you were to guess, you have a 25% chance of getting it right. So again, A, B, C, and D, 25% chance because that equals 100 total. There's a 25% chance, even if you were to close your eyes, any, mini, miny, mo, catch it, right? You could just guess and possibly get it right. And in 2023, some of the questions will have 3 answer choices to pick from of A, B, and C. So if you guys saw that video I created of changes coming to the exam in 2023, not all of them, they didn't specify how many exactly out of the 170 answer choices, but I imagine just a handful, instead of having 4 answer choices of A, B, C, and D, you'll have 3 answer choices of A, B, and C, which again, less mental strain we have to put on when we're trying to figure out what the correct answer is. So it just makes it easier. And again, if we can eliminate one, now we have a 50-50 shot. And that means if you were to guess, you have a 33.3% chance of getting it right. Because remember, 3 answer choices, 33 plus 33 is 66, plus 33 is 99. And then the 0.3, it becomes a 99%, 99.9% chance of getting it correct, just, round it up. So it just makes it easier to pick the right answer. If you can eliminate at least one of the answer choices, your chances of getting the question correct increases. However, if you leave any answer blank, there's a 100% chance you'll get it wrong. Do not, I'm gonna sound like a broken record. Do not leave any answer blank. Yes, even if you don't know it, pick your best answer. If you don't know the answer, it's okay. Pick your best answer, flag the question if you want, and return back to it later. By picking an answer, you can reread it when you eventually return back to it to see if you're still if you're still okay with that answer choice, so you have something to work with, right? So it's not like you're just reading it fresh again type of thing. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna pick this answer choice, and then when you eventually return back to it, and you're like, this is the answer I went with. I'm still not 100% sure, but I'm still okay with this answer. You still have something to work with, is what I'm saying. You don't want to be in a position where you flag an answer, leave it blank, continue with the exam, and automatically get those questions wrong because you didn't have enough time to return to the questions you flagged to pick an answer. Again, always pick an answer, even if you are unsure. You might just get it right. Because again, let's say if we flag 20 questions, all right? I'm just throwing out a number, right? Let's say you flag 20 questions. You go and you don't answer them when you flag them. You go through the exam, you get to the end of the exam, and you're like, okay, now let me go back to the 20 questions that I flagged. Now, when you're reading through them, let's say if you're spending a good amount of time on them, and you're like, oh, snap, I have 5-10 questions left to answer, and now I'm running out of time. And I don't even have enough time to click through and go to those to just guess. Again, something we could have done in the beginning. And now we automatically get those 5 or 10 that we just didn't have enough time to go back and answer wrong. And imagine if we failed the exam by 3 points. And we're like, oh man, if we just were able to just select the answer, we could have got those right, type of thing. So again, don't leave any question on the exam blank. Always pick an answer. And tip number 3, how to answer questions faster. In short, practice. I know some of you are like, wait, Ray, where's we want like the magic formula, the potion, the secret sauce type of thing. And the secret sauce is actually practicing. Practice, practice, and more practice. Like I always say, doing at least 2 practice questions a day helps keep the exam anxiety at bay. The reason why I say 2 is because, yeah, I could say like do 20 a day and everything, but realistically, you know your life, you know the things that you're responsible for, how it's structured, everything. Realistically, will we do 20 questions a day? But doing at least 2, if we want to get wild and step it up to 3, 4, cool. But doing at least 2 a day, right? You want to become comfortable in seeing how the questions are structured and train yourself to identify what information you need to focus on to pick the correct answer. It's like learning to drive. When you first started learning how to drive, you were most likely very cautious, right? You were hyper-focused on your environment. After some time of driving consistently, practice, you know the rhythm of your car, the flow of traffic, where to look, how to identify when you need to adjust, etc. So think about that, right? When you were first learning to drive, very cognizant of like your environment, what's going on, you're paying attention to everything, like the light, the sound, and over time, it's not that we're paying less attention. We just know where our eyes need to focus on. We already know, it's like second nature, how we need to position our hands, the rhythm of and flow of traffic, our car in general, how we're, driving. And we just naturally become quicker at it over time, even with like parallel parking, right? Where if you're first learning out, it's very, unusual, like movement and everything like that, and then positioning the car and everything. But after a while, you just get used to it. You start whipping that thing. You're just like, all right, I'm good. I know how to, back up and, all that stuff. So it's the same principle. It's the same thing when answering these questions on the exam. You naturally get better and more efficient at answering the questions the more you do them. So again, two practice questions a day helps keep the exam anxiety at bay. And I even broke down a bit of a visual for us. For example, if you gave yourself 2 months to study, 60 days, and decided to do at least 2 practice questions a day and take 2 practice exams a month, I highly recommend taking the official ASWB practice exam because it's the closest thing to the actual exam. You would have completed 375 practice questions. That's a lot of practice questions. 2 a day, so that's 120 questions. ASWB exam, 85 questions, and 1 full-length practice exam, that's 170 questions. Not enough? Imagine if you stepped up to 3 practice questions a day, right? So again, doing at least 2 practice questions a day. So you're like, I'm always doing my default 2, bam. And then you do the ASWB exam, which is 85 questions. And then you do you have another 170 full length exam. So it's like, wait a second, with all of this practice, with all of this being combined, you're in a really good spot to really go in there, ace the exam, get your license, and continue with our lives, honestly. Okay, tribe, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Definitely appreciate it. And you got this. These are just some tips that really help us navigate our way through the exam so that we can go in there, get licensed, and get the job done. As always, don't forget to tell a social work friend because we don't want to be licensed by ourselves. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next video. Bye.